There's a lot of great artists coming out with very intelligent raps. I heard a song from an artist the other night that I just subscribed to on YouTube, and he's got a song called Omniverse that talks about political things. It talks about stars and planets and galaxies and hypothesis and generic. The generations not as intelligent as they want to be, but because people chose to be held back with their knowledge and believing that society is holding each other back, but we're not. That's not the intentions of society. If you want to give an outlook or a positive advice, you got to be the bigger person and say something that is charming and not lucrative and not bad decisioning and off of our own comprehension. The world's a big place. It's a big planet with lots of ways to how it's been growing. If you don't believe in God, that's fine and it works for other people, but there's a lot of people that believe in a higher power, higher calling, a spiritual realm, spiritualism, spiritual gifts. There's a lot of people don't understand that stuff because the world's lied about all these trinkets and magical gifts and teleportation, electronesis, telepathic, sleep paralysis, schizophrenia, Parkinson's, all kinds of diseases, and lung cancer. Society's been lying about it and covering up before my generation comes into power, which is nowadays. We're in power and we're not hiding things. We want to be open to if we fall short or make mistakes, we want to get better. Allow us time to fix ourselves. Allow us time to get jobs. Allow us times to heal. We want girls to understand our pain and understand we're not that kind of person, that we stuck up for things and for the bigger purpose. We stuck up without reasoning, without anything owed to us or destinations, that we're colliding with public. We can't control reality. We can't even control our own emotions, our own feelings, our own sentiments, that we respect the guidance from each other in our friendships, and who's ever passing, we just can't seem to hand down the right acknowledgement, and the knowledge is always passive. It's always out there, but other people speak in different multiverses. I don't believe in clones. I believe as people have similar traits, dislikes, and symptoms of all kinds of shadows running the planet. I believe in the unknown. I believe in a lot of stories I've heard from pilots. I've heard stories from soldiers. I've heard stories from war vets. I've heard stories from the homeless public. I've heard all kinds of situations that tell of all kinds of things on the arise, but it's all up to the public what they believe and what they consider to be real existence or not. We don't know the unknowing and what they're creating with scientists and animals. We're not here in their facilities. We're not growing as a society, as human beings. We're not exactly the best recommendations for owning the planet. We're trying to accomplish many dreams and passive goals and experiences. We got satellites and rocket ships and scientists and lawyers, doctors that creating medicine and feeding the hungry, and there's great epidemics. There's permanent access to the internet. There's some without permits. Some run their companies with grants. Some just lucked out and became rich. Some of the public's got a lot of inventions. Some of them got wonderful relationships. Some have had counseling. Some have fed themselves having wrong thoughts and indications, and some have passports. Some have come to our country when we were kids and grew away from their family and left their hometown to start over new and build a new generation. There's a lot of things going on in the planet that we're not all relatives. We're not all from the same family tree. We got ancient artifacts, ancient scribes, and prophets and prophecies that spill out. There's so much to life that we're not understanding. You can't just put a label on everything and say it's going to be hunky-dory okay and expect the public to handle all this knowledge and great things at a young age, such as teenagers and what they're reading in books and learning differences between holograms, reality, demons, aliens, cryptids, animals, persons with diseases and abilities. There's many fortes. There's people that are psychics. There's mediums. There's all kinds of tarot readings. There's witchcraft. There's witches, sorceress. Some use their gifts for faith, even though they got dark roots in their intentions, but they turn it around and use it for faith. And that's a human omen that is great consideration to use the dark forces for good reasons. Some of us play character traits. There's supposedly a lot of weird citizens with multiplication under their addictions. There's people in love with having sex. There's people that aren't getting any sex. There's people that are being devoured with problems, devoured by animals. There's alligators, there's tigers, there's deer running amok us. Every day it's a new battle in a new position. There's poison on the streets, there's scorpions, there's trinkets, there's rabbit's foot, there's books, there's Bibles, there's prayers, there's staffs, there's swords, there's daggers, there's axes. There's a lot about society we seem to forget exists behind the scenes that we're not sure of. There's a lot of information we see on newspaper articles and all the cable boxes and all the nice terminology we already know exists, but applying it's completely different. Applying it seems like society's just doing that since 2020. There's been an evolution, but it hasn't been resolution. It hasn't been solutions. It's always been more pollution and more unasked. That's been discrimination. That's always been there. So the generation of my generation and the next generation, there's a gap between each other, and we're trying to fill the void with better feelings and remarks and comments. We're trying to gain a lot of knowledge and abilities to understand what goes on around in the planet. The earth goes round. It's made of clouds and atmosphere and oxygen, and water is still undiscovered. There's space out here. People want to explore things and explore their city limits and the villages and histories that's flowing through our city. Some believe in ancients and all kinds of things. It's hard to grasp as human concept. We're all going through evolution and changes, including myself, can see the unseeable, and who knows what talent that brings. And, if we're negative, it's still going to happen that we're going to learn new abilities and spiritual contests, not contests, but conquests. We're still going to be going and doing all kinds of things. People are going to dress their parts of scenarios that they want to live in and run around in costumes and feel good about themselves. There's no need for all this bashing and degrading. People are going to live out their goals, whether they're rich or poor or not. Money just doesn't get cared about as much because it's a basic necessity. It's not even a want or a desire. It's just, it helps comfort each other when they need it. It's not something to rely on. It's not giving you passion. It's not giving you, the wings to fly on. It's not giving you all this spiritual communication and testimonies and trials and tribulations and great achievements. It's just a part of being in the public that is always changing.